Well, that's what happens when you're making music. You know, there's lots of things that you make and record that don't necessarily see the light of day. You know, if you make an album and then there's like, you pick 12 songs, it's not like you just made 12 songs. You may have made 18 songs. There's always leftovers, and there's always demos and things that I do that, you know, for whatever reason, they don't get released. So over the last 2 years, I had all this music and stuff that I liked that hadn't been released for one reason or another. So I thought, good time to put it all together, put it out. I have some songs that I probably can't sell ever because of sample clearances and things. You know, you can't always get the sample clearance, or maybe it's too expensive, or somebody says, you know, I don't want you to put that out. So there's a few things that I got up my sleeve that were not allowed to be put out. You know, there's label clearances too. Sometimes you get a side artist, someone to feature on your song, and then the artist is cool to do it, but then their label says nah. Like, then that's when you have things that you just never can put out. Yeah, so there's all manner of different ways that you can release music now through the internet. You know, it's really up to the individual to think of creative new ways to reach an audience. So you could just be using your MySpace, which is pretty standard, you know, YouTube and stuff, and emailing people the songs directly. Just whatever you can think of, man. It's not so much about just the physical world of having a CD or a piece of vinyl. It's obviously much more about digital, maybe downloading off, like, to phones, getting your stuff on telecom companies, you know, all different ways to put your stuff out now. If I could have remixed one song in the world, I actually thought about this before, like, people that I think need remixes is like dudes like Dizzy Rascal, you know? Really good MC, but in my opinion, all the beats he runs on are pretty shit. So that would be a good dude to remix, you know what I mean? I basically look at it like that. I'm like, when I hear a vocal that I think the musical production's not doing justice to the artist, then those are the types of songs I like to remix. Not to say that every track I've remixed has had a whack beat, because sometimes it's a really dope song and I just want to have a go at it. So. My favorite unreleased songs. Hang on, I wrote them down. I wrote down my favorite unreleased songs. I have them on here. And what is it? Hang on, because I couldn't remember them. Yeah, unreleased. Oh yeah, Q-Tip's got one. It's called Move. Unreleased song. It's JD produced. That's real wicked. Really hard to find, but it's on his MySpace, so maybe not that hard to find anymore. But Q-Tip, Move. Timbaland and Pharrell did a song called Vulnerable, which I just found by randomly searching on Acquisition. I just wrote in Timbaland and the song came up. I've never heard it released anywhere. I really like that track. It's a good song. The original version of Cameron's Get 'Em Girls with the actual sample instead of the replayed sample. The rhymes are all the same, but the actual feel of the song is completely different with the real sample. So that's dope too. Ghostface's song called Good Times. Now, I don't know what album it was supposed to be for, but it sampled the TV show theme for Good Times. And it was a wicked track. I got it on a white label, bootleg vinyl. And the original version of Stop the Music, my song, that is unreleased. The original version, because it features Savage and Damien from Blind Spot. And that wasn't released because Dawn Raid didn't want to clear Savage's performance on the song. So it never came out. There's a couple songs that should never have been released, but off the top of my head, it's no disrespect, but I think Aradna's Shake should never have been released, because at least as a second single, it shouldn't have maybe been as a second single at the very least, because the track was just mad confusing. And I think the way they did the video didn't make sense for her direction as an artist, in my opinion. No disrespect, but I think that shouldn't have come out. Very similar case for A. Marie's song called Touch, off her last album. It was the title track, but the setup was so good with one thing. They should have gone with something in the same vein or like more soulful. There's heaps more tracks on the album produced by Rich Harrison, should have come out. But they put out Touch by Little John, and it was just a real bad move. Killed the album off. And Nas Hip Hop Is Dead. That should never have come out, man. That song sucks. The 50 Cent Power of the Dollar, but it kind of has seen the light of day. What was that 50 thing that came out? You know the one. The EP. What's the thing the Guess Who's Back album? That has a lot of songs from Power of the Dollar, and I had a sampler from Power of the Dollar that was really, really good. So, like, I like that. What else? Unreleased albums. The original version of Inspector Dick's Uncontrolled Substance, because there's heaps of sample clearance issues with that album, but I got an advanced copy that had all the uncleared samples, and it was wicked. I was really excited about this album. And the actual version that came out like 9 months later, made it in the shops, it was completely different and really whack. So sample clearance can really screw up a real good album. Big Un. I don't know, man. Like probably something from Charlie Baltimore. I can't remember any of the song titles. Charlie Baltimore didn't really have any good songs, did she? Actually, yeah, Charlie Baltimore had a premiere track. I don't know, man. But those were good days in hip hop. It was kind of like that borderline where everything crossed from being like real hip hop and like dudes recording with people like Premiere and people like Jay-Z using Premiere and having those style beats to going to the cheesy route. I think Un was right there at the turning point. It's one of the guilty parties. Shot then.